All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another Tuesday Night Healing, our 17th episode. I have a few guests with me today. I have Stormy on the phone. Stormy, if you want to say hi.
Hey everyone.
And then I have my buddy Steve here with me. He's going to be talking in a little bit about certain things, and we'll bring that up shortly. To get us started tonight, we've all been sitting here talking and stuff, and I'm fairly new to content creation. I'm just getting my feet in the water over the last couple months and stuff like that. However, there are other people that I follow and stuff, because especially in like the BPD community, you're learning from others just as I'm trying to teach others, and we're all working together in unison. And one of the people I follow, I'm not going to use her name or anything like that because, it's not to draw attention to the matter, but, she seems to be in a spiral right now, and everything seems to be getting out of control for her. And, as a person who suffers from it and can understand what she's going through and stuff, and to see this be going on for like a month now and progressively getting worse to where it finally hit a head today, and things have actually gotten like extremely out of control for her, I just wanted to give my thoughts and prayers, that hopefully things turn around for her and things get better. Because as somebody who has it, to watch somebody spiral like that, it is very concerning. I mean, I even called Stormy earlier to speak to her about it, so she could get a look at what was going on with this woman. And, it's scary stuff. And, nobody wants to see anyone go through that. And I hope that when people watch these videos, not only from myself, but other content creators and stuff like that, that know that there actually is help out there that you can utilize to get you to where you need to be, rather than spiraling out of control on Facebook and, diving deeper into something where people anonymously throughout the world that are following you and stuff like that are willing to call the police and get them involved because they're so afraid for what's going on with you. That's such a scary thing to think about. So, just to anyone out there that's struggling, there is help. Crying out on social media and stuff like that, whether it be for attention or you feel like there is no help, there are so many resources to go out there and get yourself help. And it kind of brings us into what we're talking about tonight when we're talking about emotional wellness. I mean, how coincidental that she's going through such a crisis right now. And I mean, realistically, all she needs is just like the right person to basically be there and just tell her that everything's going to be all right and help her get through the situation, as Stormy's done for me many, many times. I can't say that I've gone to the extremes of what it seems like she's going through, but I do understand where she's coming from, and I can respect what she's going through. So, we can all pray and hope that she finds the help that she needs and everything's okay. But I just wanted to make light of that to anybody that's watching. There are avenues. Stormy and myself offer our services if anyone's going through any issues, to contact us, and we could try to help you through it. And there has been people that have reached out to me, and I'm grateful for that I can assist with that. But if you don't ask for help, then you're not going to get help. So you got to kind of manage what's going on. I understand when you're in an episode, as Stormy and I were just speaking of, you don't always realize that you're in it until sometimes it's too late. But self-awareness and all this other stuff as far as emotional wellness, it can help you get to that level where you need to be, so you can seek assistance if you need to. And we're going to give you guys different avenues when we talk about it tonight on what we can go through emotional wellness wise to get people to where they need to be. So that'll bring us into our segment here. Emotional wellness, what is it? Emotional wellness is the ability to successfully handle life stresses and adapt to change during difficult times. It's pretty much common sense. Everybody goes through triumphs and tribulations and all that stuff throughout life, and, managing your expectations and knowing yourself and knowing your body is going to bring you to that emotional wellness. It'll get you to where you need to be emotionally, physically, mentally, all of it. You just got to know the signs and symptoms that your body's telling you and be in tune with it. And the more in tune you are with your body is the more help that you can give and to receive. Because the best thing is to help yourself, but also help others. Obviously put your oxygen mask on first before you put somebody else's on. But if you're not emotionally well, you can't be emotionally well for other people. And I actually got a couple questions today Actually, they've been over the last few weeks, last 2 weeks, but I figured I'd throw them all in this video. So at the end, we're going to do a little Q&A. So stay tuned for that. So what's the impact of like poor emotional wellness? So there's a lot of ways that not being able to work through life in a positive emotional state can lead to worse outcomes, particularly because negative emotional states can be stressful ones. So some examples of that would be, when you're in a low emotional state and you're not emotionally well, you could have lower immunity to things. Like your body actually, your immune system weakens. You tend to get sick easier, depressed easier, tired easier. Like there's so many things that come with it. Another big thing would be hypertension. Long-term stress could actually affect your blood pressure, which can cause even more problems down the road. You could have heart issues. You could also have psychiatric issues. It could make your mental health conditions worse, especially if you're somebody that's suffering from a mental illness. It can make it 10 times worse if you're not emotionally well. I will speak to that later about what I went through in the last couple weeks with that. It could definitely cause relationship issues. I mean, if you're not emotionally well, you're not being emotionally well to your significant other. You're bringing them down, you're putting them down, you're putting them in a negative headspace, you're creating more problems by being that way. And that's not to say that you have to be strong all the time, but you have to at least be conscientious of what you're doing and who's around you and how it's affecting them. Because although you may be going through somebody close to you could be seeing that, like we spoke of earlier with this girl's posts and stuff like that. There's so many other people on there that are suffering from borderline, and they're seeing these sorts of things, and it's bringing them into negative headspaces as per like the comments that I was reading and stuff. And what you're going through, when you have like an inspiration, or when you have people following you and stuff like that, the negative space that you're in, you're just cascading it out and spreading it to everybody else. And maybe somebody was having a horrible day today, and just what you said kind of pushed them over that line, and now maybe they're making a mistake that they may not be able to come back from. So when you're in a position like that, you really need to watch what you say, especially when you're on social media, because you're there to help people, not harm people. It can create a lot of difficulties at work. I, for one, can attest to that, and anyone that's worked with me. When I wasn't emotionally well and stuff like that, there were days where I wouldn't show up. I would just be not talking and not social. I would be short with people, and it creates a hostile work environment. Or if I'm not there, now from the top to the bottom, if I'm not there to sort the mail and stuff like that, now everybody else has to pick up the slack. Now they're getting out later. Now it's affecting them. Like it starts at the top and it just keeps going down. So you need to be conscientious of that. And then the last thing is like trouble concentrating. If you're not emotionally well, you're not really in the right headspace. So for you to be able to sit there, especially if you have obligations in life, like being a parent or being at work or going to school, if you're not emotionally well, you're not going to give 100%. And again, it all slides downhill. So what would be some common warning signs that there's an issue? Eating or sleeping too much or too little, anger or feeling edgy or even lashing out at other people, an overwhelming sadness, pulling away from people and things, not connecting with others, a lack of energy or always feeling tired, feeling like you have to keep busy to keep your mind active, having unexplained aches and pains such as constant stomach aches or even headaches, feeling helpless or hopeless, excessive smoking, drinking, using drugs, or abusing prescription medications, worrying a lot of the time and feeling guilty but not sure as to why, and thinking of hurting or killing yourself or someone else and having difficulty readjusting to your home or work life. Those are just the signs and symptoms that are most common with it. You can always tell when somebody's going through it, because if they're normally happy and bubbly and stuff like that, and then you start seeing them withdraw and getting really upset and not contributing to what they used to do, not finding enjoyment in the things they used to, you can kind of spot it. I mean, maybe because I've been that way so many different times, I kind of know what to look for when someone's in crisis. You kind of know. Especially if you spend a lot of time around somebody, you can tell when something's not right. So, what would be some benefits of a strong emotional wellness? As much as poor emotional health can make out for major problems in your life, having strong emotional wellness can help you thrive, of course. So there's so many benefits to having good well-being. And that could be your relationships with others could be really good. You could have a close circle and have that tight-knit community that everybody should have, that support system. It can reduce stress, and it can make you feel a lot better on your day-to-day basis. And it can promote positivity and productivity, helping you accomplish way more in life. Obviously, if you're happy in your own skin, you're going to be more productive. You're going to be more productive for others. You're going to spread that happiness around rather than spreading around that negativity. So, before we jump into anything else, Stormy, did you want to add anything at this point?
I just wanted to say that I think pretty much any and everyone can relate to emotional wellness and going through struggles with having emotional wellness, and just you pointing out some of the stuff, makes me realize that, okay, maybe my emotional wellness isn't that great right now because I'm having some of those issues. So this is a good topic for me, for sure, tonight.
Yeah, it's funny how that seems to work out. Like everything that I was saying before, it's funny whether it's us reading it in the book or just real life situations or anything. It's funny how these seem to land at like the right time. Most of the ones we've done have seemed to just land like right at the right time.
And I agree with that.
And it's not even from like pre-planning, because obviously you can't predict if there's going to be issues day to day, but for some reason they just seem to be fitting in place. So, how do you optimize your emotional wellness? Well, mindfulness is about being present in the moment rather than living on autopilot. Mindfulness encourages us to really take part in our lives and improve both physical and emotional well-being. And you could practice mindfulness by doing everything from simply running or eating, or you could do something like meditation. So you'd say, Nick, how do you meditate? Well, you could take a seat, find somewhere comfortable that's calm and quiet, no distractions, anything like that, somewhere that gives you peace. Obviously, you don't want to be in a place that's going to bring up like some sort of trauma or anything like that. You want to go where you feel comfortable. Where is your safe place? That's where you want to start. Set a time limit in your head. Dedicate an actual amount of time, whether it be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever you can afford to do. Put it in your head, this is how long I'm going to do it. If you have to set a timer for it, but set a goal. This is what I'm going to do for this long. Maybe start with 20 minutes. See where it goes. Next thing you want to do is you want to notice your body. You want to be in tune with everything. Feel yourself inside, in your thoughts, everything. Breathe in, breathe out. Focus on your breathing. As you're feeling it go in, think about it going out. Let it all out. Be emotionally okay. Push all that negative stuff out. Then, because everybody's mind does wind up wandering, be conscientious of where your mind is wandering to while you're in this meditative state. But be kind to where your mind is wandering. Don't get frustrated and think, why can't I focus? Why can't I focus? See where your mind is going. Where is it taking you? What are the thoughts you're having during all this? Be mindful of them. So that way when you're done meditating, you can focus on why is my mind going to these things and what can I do to resolve it? Then, as you're coming to a close with it, be kind to yourself. Try to conjure up some good thoughts. Leave on a high note. Don't leave on a negative note. In any situation, not even just this. Be kind to yourself and kind to others. Bring all that up, and then when you're finished, let it all out, and then go on. And the more that you could practice this sort of thing, is the more in tune you'll be. I found myself, I was doing yoga for a little while. I plan on getting back to it now that we're in the new year and past the Christmas hell. I found it to be very therapeutic, not only physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. To be able to do that, even though it's just like the stretching and all that stuff, it's very calming. It makes you feel good when you're done with it. Like, it's just a very peaceful thing. Never thought it would be something that I could see myself doing, but it was very nice. Another thing we could do is connect and communicate with other people. So there's no need to go through this journey alone. Never. We always give our avenues and stuff to help people, and I'm sure there's people in your inner circle that have given you the same opportunities to receive help from them, whether it be emotionally, financially, physically, whatever the case may be. There's always somebody out there willing to help, and whether you realize it or not, there always will be. It just takes a matter of asking and looking, but you will find it. Because emotional wellness, it's about being connected and being able to deal with your own emotions. But so much of your emotional lives are lived with those we know and love. So to make a point of intentionally talking about your feelings with others which can lead you to understanding them. Ask others about their feelings so that you have the opportunity to experience different perspectives. Ask somebody how they're feeling. Get a feeling of what they're going through. How can you help? If they don't want help, respect their boundaries and stuff like that. But the more love you can give is the more love you'll be able to receive, because you'll be able to see the world from different perspectives. You'll be able to see different things. I'm sure Stormy can attest to, before meeting me, she had no idea what the hell borderline was, how to deal with it, how to help with it, anything like that. But after years of going through the rigmarole with me, she could tell you lots of things about borderline now. Shit, she could probably even tell you more things than I know about it, and I'm the one that has it. But it takes to give that love, to receive that love, to understand different aspects and different beliefs and the different things that people deal with on a day-to-day basis, to have that greater understanding and care. But you have to give to get. It can't all just be about help me, help me, help me, help me, but you're not willing to help anyone else. So another thing that you could do for your emotional wellness is obviously manage your stress. So managing your stress is key to staying emotionally and physically healthy. When starting a stress management practice, try different activities to see which fit is best for you to make you feel happier. You could do simple meditation, like I spoke about before, with the help of videos or apps or anything like that. Like I had a DVD that I was using to do that. You could go for a walk. You could take a bath. You could practice just your breathing. You could watch movies, TV show, whatever your case may be, listening to calming music that'll put you at ease. So many different avenues to go along with that. It's just you have to find out what works for you. These are just examples. Maybe this conjures up, oh, that's what I'll do next time I'm feeling stressed out. You have to take care of your physical well-being. It can't just all be about mental. So performing activities that increase your endorphins are good chemicals that will come out when our bodies are using them. So an easy way to increase them would be to do exercise or dance or laugh or play a game, watch something funny on YouTube. There's so many different things that can release those endorphins, and when you really need them, it's going to help you. But you have to know what gets you to that stage. You got to know what's going to help you release those things. If you know at watching videos of like cats doing dumb things on YouTube is going to make you extremely happy, well, that's what you go to. That's your go-to thing. Like for me, watching TV shows that I've already seen a million times is my go-to thing. I can't tell you how many times I've watched The Office or Parks and Recreation or The Sopranos. Like those are things that bring me, or Roseanne especially, those are things that bring me a great amount of joy. So when I'm feeling anxiety or stress or anything, I can put it on, close my eyes, watch the episode essentially in my head because I've seen it so many times, and put myself at ease. But those are just things that work for me. They may be different for you. Another thing that you want to do is you want to work towards a balanced life. So in order to be at your best emotionally, you want to cultivate a balance between work and play. So setting aside designated time to do recreational activities and creating firm boundaries around work hours are two simple ways to improve this. Like we talked about in the last healing video, or maybe it was the one before that. You can always make more money. You can always go out and get another job. Just because, you're not feeling well and stuff like that, you can't let the fear that you're going to get in trouble or anything like that prevent you from doing that. You can't be giving up your family time to be doing that because you don't get that time back. Again, you can always make more money, but set aside time for you. You need to make time for you. It's not worth killing yourself all these hours because they don't care about you. They just don't. Your family cares about you. You care about yourself. Your friends care about you. Be there for them and for yourself. Keep that emotional wellness. Another good thing is to invest in sleep. I know we had our live chat on insomnia and stuff, and we talked about that, how important good sleep is, and it's just along with this as well. Your sleep habits and behaviors are known as sleep hygiene. So the better you sleep is the better your chances that you're going to feel good when you're awake. Improve your sleep hygiene through practices such as designated bedtimes, limiting caffeine, and not overeating before bed. 3 big things right there that you want to keep an eye on to make sure that you're good. So I'm going to give my example on how I handle emotional wellness. I'll let Stormy give hers. Then I'm going to talk about my thing of what I feel like when I'm starting to spiral and how I try to fix it. And then I have a special guest, Steve, and he's going to jump in and talk a little bit about his go-to when it comes to this. So my examples on how I handle emotional wellness is, personally, like I was saying before, I like to watch the same shows on repeat. I also like to draw or play video games. Those are things that really ground me and get me back into it. Communicating with friends and like family and stuff like that, for the most part, helps, unless I'm having like a crisis with family or anything. But for the most part, it helps. As I spoke about before, I was doing DDP yoga for a while. I'm going to plan on getting back to that to lose some weight and get my schedule more balanced. Because I'm one of those creatures of habit. I need a schedule every single day. And if I deviate from that schedule, it just screws my entire thing up. Even if it's something small. You know, like I could be sitting there planning to do the same thing every day, to come home, take a shower at the same exact time, eat food at the same exact time, sit down and watch the same shows at the same exact time. But if something comes up where it's like, well, now I got to go drive somewhere because there's a crisis or something like that, it just throws everything off for me. Or if I'm planning to go home at 2 o'clock and my boss comes in and just says, well, now you're working a 12-hour day, it just throws literally everything out of whack. And I have to rebalance myself to get it that way. So I find having a schedule that I abide to almost on a daily basis helps keep me centered and keep me focused on what needs to be done. Stormy, did you want to give some examples about how you handle your emotional wellness?
Yeah, like for me, pretty much I have like the having a support network is a big thing for me because I'm a people person. So that helps me a lot whenever I can, vent to friends or family or just seek, conversation to get my mind off of things. Setting priorities of what I need to get done and do without being overwhelmed by it and stressed out by it. Which again, with me and Hannah having autism, I do a lot of scheduling too. Like we have to do the same thing every day too. And when it throws her off, it throws me off too. So that's a big thing for us is schedule and priorities and just positive thinking. And I know that seems like cliche is, think positive, but it does when you get your mind into thinking positive, it does help you do away with some of the negative thinking. Another thing for me is just having, my faith in God. He's my go-to because I've been to the point where, I've almost been on a breakdown over just a lot of stress and not being emotionally well. And I feel like that's one of the main things that keeps me going, keeps me strong, keeps me focused. And so I'm able to be that strong person for a lot of people, in my family, my friends. But that's kind of some of my go-tos of what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what Steve's going to talk about in a second, too, how religion helped him significantly with emotional wellness. Now, we're going to give examples real quick before we get into that of how do you know when you're spiraling. So, me personally, I feel more agitated. I feel more irritable. I find myself like just not wanting to deal with anything and losing focus. For example, the example of what happened the other week I said I would talk about, I noticed that it started out with being overly stressed. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't feeling like myself. And it got to a point where things were getting so out of control that I messaged my boss and told him that I needed to take a mental health day. And he wound up threatening me and telling me that he was going to dock my pay and not allow me to use sick leave. So it put me in a frantic state at that point, thinking like, I don't usually call out unless it's an emergency and I'm having an issue. And, I went into work the next day, even though I was going to call out. And I just knew at that point I needed to get myself help. So I went to go get FMLA to be able to protect myself from being persecuted from my employer. Because everyone who suffers from mental illness or even stress and such, it's a real thing. It's covered under FMLA. Even if you don't have a mental illness and you're just overly stressed, it's an FMLA condition. You are entitled to use it to protect yourself. All you just need to do is request the paperwork where you can go online and do it, and then give it to your doctor and have them fill it out and get it taken care of. Don't let them sit there and pressure you and say, well, you're not allowed to be stressed out. You're not allowed to be tired. You're not allowed to be... You are. You are. And you were so entitled to go get the paperwork and take care of yourself. And that's precisely what I did. It had come to a point where I had never gone through a season like this before with such little help and no willingness to cooperate or try and even help me whatsoever, doing the job of 3 people, and it was so overwhelming. And even Steve had told me, he'd said to me, he said I didn't look good and that I needed to call out. Like, he could even see it. Like, I knew it was there, but like, for him to actually say it, it was a thing. And I was like, all right, I'm doing it. And I just went through with it, and I called out. I got my paperwork, and it was the best thing I did because it gave me time to recoup. And that's why I took that 2-week break from doing all this stuff, because, you know, you need to take care of yourself first before you're helping other people. So that's when I noticed that I started spiraling. And that's why I had to take that break. And I'm going to let Steve say his piece right now as far as how religion helped him with his well-being. So take it away, Titus.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Just wanted to say that for me, even Stormy touched on it a little bit with her faith. For me, coming back to my faith in God, and I can say with everything I got in me now that I won't let anybody deter me or tell me that there is no God. I mean, that's just my personal thing. I'm not trying to press anything on his site towards religion, but for me, religion it's not even religion. My faith in God helped me a lot. I actually believe he put me with Nick right now. We're helping each other greatly, enormously. And it's opened a lot of doors for me with my emotional wellness. I just recently went through a divorce after being married for 30 years, and it wasn't something I wanted, but it destroyed me, it devastated me. And going back to church and following my faith, it's opened doors. I've gotten back into music. I did a play, which I used to do acting a long time ago, and just things you stop doing when you get married because you have your family and your life takes over and you don't get a chance to do those things. So for me, it's helped a lot. And as Nick says, everybody's going through something, and there's an avenue for everybody to take, whether it's a counselor, a family, a friend, a church, something. There, don't be afraid. Reach out. The world right now is like making a lot of people feel crushed emotionally because there's so much horror going on right now, but just stuff in the world in general, people and violence, and to me, it's just Bible prophecy coming to fulfillment. But for those who believe, but yeah, you can't be afraid to reach out. And you have to reach out because everybody needs some kind of help. Like Nick touched on it before, that when he was going through his thing, I told him he was concerned about his job. So I said, look, you can't help anybody or be good to anybody if you're not healthy yourself. So it was good that he just took that time and got himself where he needs to be. And everybody needs that. I mean, we're all human. We all have emotional needs and strengths and weaknesses. And so yeah, find what it is that you need to help you. Again, whether it's church, counselor, friend, family, whatever. And don't be afraid. I mean, there's somebody out there for you. When you have negative thoughts, think of the positive things that could work out for you. I mean, my life is doing a 180 right now, and I hope it only goes up and up from there. I mean, there are scriptures. It's funny, I always tell people, with life, everything seems to come with a manual on how to operate your life. For me, that's the Bible. And anything I look for lately it's weird because there's a scripture in there that will help you. I'll just leave you with two quick scriptures for healing and wellness. There's Jeremiah 33:6, which says, "Nevertheless, I will bring health and healing to it. I will heal my people, and I will let them enjoy abundant peace and security." There's also Psalm 103, which has verse 2 and 4, which says, "Praise the Lord, my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all your sins and heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from the pit and crowns you with love and compassion. So just find your joy in life, live what you have to live, and be a good person, and get any help you need. Find it in something. Find your strength somewhere. I'll just leave it at that.
It was great. That was absolutely perfect. And he's absolutely correct. And it's not, if religion isn't sort of your thing, that's your thing. But there is a lot of avenues if you would like to go with that. And the churches and stuff like that, no matter what your faith is, they're always going to be welcoming and stuff like that. And they are avenues to use if you need help. Whether that be from just trying to find your way to AA or NA or whatever the case may be. If they can't help you there, they do have other resources of local agencies and such that will help you. There's also national hotlines and websites and all sorts of social media and stuff like that that can get you the help that you need when you're in times of crisis. And everybody finds their niche, or whatever the case may be, to get emotionally well. And when you find it, you stick with it. That's the best thing you can do. And if you can get people along the way to be helped, and maybe it's not necessarily their thing. Maybe like the watching repetitive episodes and stuff like that, like I do. Maybe that's not your thing. That just seems boring to you or just outlandish. Maybe that's not your thing. But there are things that are like that will tailor to what you need. So you're getting different perspectives. Stormy gave her perspective on her normal thing. Steve gave his. I gave mine. There's so many different things. I saw Sierra had commented earlier and said that gardening was her thing. There's so many other things, and everybody has to find what it is about you that's going to give you that happiness and bring you back to being grounded, to give you that emotional wellness. Everybody's going to go through crisis. Everybody's going to have those moments where life just seems so unbearable, but you're so worth it. You're worth it to be on this planet. And the most selfish thing you can do is to take your own life because you don't realize the tidal wave that it creates to everybody else surrounding you. Yeah, you may be free now in your mind by doing so, depending on what your beliefs and stuff are, but the tidal wave that you created by doing that, you're going to change the circle around you forever. Because you may not feel important in the moment, but you are important, and you're important to a lot of people. Even if you don't see it, even if you don't feel like it, there are people that count on you. And you need to be emotionally well for not only yourself, first and foremost, but for them as well. It's all about working together like we preach in every one of these videos.
I wanted to say something real quick. What always makes me when I'm thinking about that is Justin Furstenfeld with Blue October talking about finding his higher power, which is God for him. But he's saying it doesn't have, someone that's not necessarily religious or feels comfortable even going to church, they can still seek out their higher power of what they feel is their higher power or find their higher power. And that helped him. That's another, thing that helped him, with recovery, with his emotional wellness, his emotional well-being. And I always think about his story about that. So when I'm thinking about that, I just wanted to add that.
And she's absolutely right. And we promote Justin stuff all the time. You know what I mean? We're big Blue October fans and big fans of him personally. Great guy. I know we both met him several times. Great guy. Very, very great to his community and stuff like that, and to his fans and followers. If you haven't checked this stuff out, definitely check that out. The music, everything that goes along with that, it's just top notch. His documentary, if you have the chance to watch it, Get Back Up. I mean, if that doesn't make you want to sober up and clean your life, I don't know what will. You know what I mean? Like when I saw it numerous times, like that's it. I'm getting on the right foot. I'm doing it. It didn't last, but to see him go through that and hear his story about everything that he went through, and he was a big part that got me through my custody battle. That I would say that was probably one of the biggest things that got me through it, was listening to his music and going through that, because I started really getting deep into it when I was going through my breakup, and then just started going deeper and deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. So, something else. Did you want to add something else?
I just wanted to add one more scripture that I thought of for everyone. It's kind of interesting. They say when you study scripture and Bible, they say for every good thing God created, the devil created the opposite. So he created light and dark. He actually created light and dark, but he created truth. The devil created lies. So it's interesting that he created us without a spirit of fear. So there's a scripture that says, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So everybody who he created shouldn't have, technically, you shouldn't have fear because it's something that comes from Satan or the devil. But he didn't create you to be that way. You're supposed to be of a good, strong spirit and a sound mind without, any worry or sickness. That's why, for me, again, I cry out to him when I have issues. But everybody, again, to each your own.
Yep, it's all about finding that thing for you. So now we're going to dive into the last part of this, which is the questions. I've received a couple questions over the last couple weeks that have popped up in my private messages and stuff, and I've kind of been trying to like collect them together so I can just do like them all at once. Unless I was told who, like, that they were okay with me saying who asked this question, I'm not putting any names to it. I'm just going to put them out there. So if you're watching this video, hopefully you know exactly who I'm talking about. So the first thing I got was actually from yesterday. How can I be more emotionally stable? I think we incorporated a lot of that today when we talked about it, but I mean, the only other things, like, I took notes to maybe give specific suggestions from our conversation was, you want to try to be a little bit more emotionally stable. You want to incorporate like healthy things in your life, like, learn to like be skeptical of yourself. Don't sit there and like think like every feeling that you have is like a true to heart feeling. It could just because of something that you're going through in the moment. So try not to be like so hard on yourself that you're gonna just beat yourself up and think you're worthless when it's not the case. It could just be the situation that's warranting these sort of feelings. Try to practice being like vulnerable. Don't always feel like you have to put up like these strong walls and stuff like that. You're allowed to be vulnerable. You're allowed to be emotional. You're allowed to feel weak. Like, it's part of being human. So, embrace it, feel it, figure out what's causing it, and then try to figure out like a healthy way to kind of like bring yourself back up to like where you need to be. Try to manage stress. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I know my job, and Steve could tell you too, our job is extremely stressful and it brings a lot of issues emotionally because of that. But, that's another big thing. Try to manage your stress, how much, like the things you're focusing on and stuff like that. Like, do they really need to be focused on? Can it be put off for another time? Can you take a break? Like, just try to piece that all together and figure out what's really important in the now. And then kind of piece everything else together. Don't overload yourself. And then just work on setting boundaries. Boundaries are a huge thing, not only in relationships, but friendships, family, workplace. Set boundaries. Don't be so giving. Don't take so much. It's a give and take in life. Like you try to do one kind thing per day. And people have always talked about this, and I've actually been trying to do it like most of the time. I'll usually do it with like the customers at the window or something like that. I'll do my one good deed that day by like helping somebody carry something to their car or giving them advice on something or something of that nature. I try to do at least one a day. And it makes me feel better when I go to sleep at night knowing that even if I just did something as innocuous as hold the door for somebody, maybe it put them in a better place by doing so. So it makes me feel better that I can contribute to something like that. And it's a good thing. And I'm glad that I started doing that a while back. And, I would recommend it. Just try to do one thing for just a random stranger. Just one kind thing. Give them a pencil. Spot them $1 if they're loose on change or low on change. Something simple. The next question. This is from a couple weeks ago when we were talking about BPD. Have you ever heard of BPD eyes? I never heard of that before. This is a new thing. I had to actually look into this today. But when I found it, I was like, wow. It's just a form of dissociation. I've experienced it. I can say that, people have told me before that you don't look like you're all there and stuff. So I've never heard it be referred to as that. This is like a new thing that I had to actually look into today. And the definition I got for it is a glazed over or empty look. That is why they call it empty eyes. It's a phenomenon associated with depersonalization and derealization where individuals feel detached from themselves and their surroundings. So essentially disassociation. Again, I've never heard that term before. I've never actually watched someone disassociate. I've only disassociated, to my knowledge, 3 times in my entire life, but I wasn't watching myself do it. It's not like I was like sitting in the mirror like, whoa, like look at you. Like it just happened. I can remember all 3 times vividly clearly, but I don't know what I looked like when I was going through that. I mean, I'd have to maybe ask somebody, but I would say out of the 3 times I disassociated, only my dad was there 2 of those 3 times. So I guess I'd have to ask him to really get an understanding on what I looked like in that moment. I'm not really sure. But yeah, that's a new one for me, the BPDI things. I'd never heard of that before. Third question. Why would you self-harm? I just don't understand why someone would do that. It's not meant to be judgmental. I'm just curious. I've said it in a couple of videos before. I know we went over this, so I mean, I'm not going to really touch like super much on it, especially because we're doing an episode on self-harm on January 30th. So I'll really dive into that. I would say if I had to put a reasoning behind it, it's because I felt overwhelmed, and I had no avenue in the moment. Again, this isn't something that's happened in many years, but you know, I wasn't feeling well, and I guess it was a form of control. That the pain I inflicted and stuff like that was something that I controlled, when all the other pain that was being inflicted on me, I had no control over. That would be like the most clear understanding is how I could put it. I mean, only somebody who has done it before or has BPD or anything like that could really understand it. It's kind of complex to explain to people. Like when I tried to explain it to my dad when I was a teenager, when I was doing it, he didn't really understand it. I don't really expect anyone to understand it. But if you really are curious, I mean, we're going to go through that, like I said, on January 30th. So you're welcome to join the chat at that point and really get an understanding from different perspectives. You know, I'll come up with good examples from other people and things like that to try to get that answer for you. But I think it's more of a control thing. I think it's more of a pain I could control. That's the best way I could describe it. And then the last question I was given, in one of your videos, you said you took a break because you were overwhelmed. How did you know you needed a break? Well, that was the thing. I explained earlier in this video, Steve pointed it out to me, and also, like, I could feel everything starting to unravel. Like, I wasn't feeling well. I just wanted to sleep all the time, and then most of the time I couldn't sleep. I had insomnia. I was losing track at work, and then one day it all came to a head on one of the Mondays before I actually went out on FMLA, because I went out on that Thursday. That Monday, it was incredibly overwhelming. I remember sitting up at the window, and I was so overwhelmed with customers and stuff like that. I was losing focus on what time it was, what I had to do during the day, whether I had to sort packages or when the next truck's coming. Like, I felt so incredibly lost. I knew exactly where I was, but like I could just tell something wasn't right. That I had an extreme amount of stress put on top of me that I hadn't felt since I want to say 2021 was the last time that happened, when court was officially over and I lost my 50-50 custody. That was the last time that had happened, something like that. So and again, that was only the second time it ever happened, and the first time it happened to me was actually 2017. So it's only happened 3 times, you know, and it was scary nonetheless on all of those times. But I knew, because it had happened before, what was actually going on. And obviously doing my due diligence and, you know, going through mental health counseling and all that and learning about it, I knew something was wrong. And I knew at that point that I had irked it, and if I pushed it any further, that it was going to become a huge problem. And rather than spiraling into the ways of a decade ago, I took the high road and said, enough is enough. This has got to stop. This has got to get fixed right now before it gets worse. So that's how I knew that I needed a break. And like I said before, you know, everybody has their own breaking point and stuff like that. This was something that had been building up for about 6 weeks when my other coworker transferred and I was forced to work 12-hour days with no assistance. I wasn't even getting lunches, let alone a break to even go outside and smoke a cigarette or anything. So doing 12 hours without a single break, even for a moment to yourself just to simply go to the bathroom, extremely stressful and overwhelming, because you're nonstop all day. It's not like you're stopping and sitting down. Like, you're on your feet the entire day, moving for those 12 hours. So that's how I knew that I needed to take a break. Again, you know the signs and symptoms, and the more emotional wellness you have in your life is the easier it will be for you to figure out where is your breaking point? How will you become grounded again? And what it's going to take to keep us, happy and healthy. For not only yourself, but everyone else around you. Because again, you are worth something. Everyone is worth something. Even if you can't see your own worth, I guarantee you there's somebody in your life that can. So just be mindful of that and be kind to others and to yourself. So I want to thank my guests and everything for coming on today. Steve, thank you. Stormy, of course, as always, thank you. And we're here for you guys. If you're going through crisis and stuff, simply reach out. We want to help. It can be anonymous, just like these questions and stuff. I didn't put anybody's names to them or anything. I'm just trying to get the information out there. Come to us, or go to a loved one, or a counselor, or a church, or whatever the case may be. There's always going to be help. You just have to take the first step in getting it. And we're always here for you. We like creating content for you guys, try to help you out. We're very grateful that you reach out to us and tell us that it is helping, that we're not just spinning the wheels here. And, it's also therapeutic, I could say, like for myself, to be able to talk about these things and, have other people relate to them and understand them and be able to help in the same hand. It's a give and a take. So coming up this week, we are going to be doing chapter 11, Filth and Lies, in Paradise Reborn. We're going to get the old Twain back. She has a quick, brief thing. Steve has also agreed to play Detective Hunt. So that's going to be a fun one. So make sure you stay tuned for that one this Thursday.
Very nice.
Yes. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Our next Tuesday Night Healing is going to be next Tuesday. That's going to be Impulsivity. I think that I can write a fucking book on impulsivity. Anyone that knows me can definitely agree with that.
You could be a poster child for that.
Right here. That's the image. That's the image you're gonna see right there when you look up impulsivity in the dictionary. But yeah, what it's about, how to overcome it. All the traits that go along with that. So that's gonna be a good one. Next Tuesday. And now that the cat's out of the bag, so I was planning, before I let everybody go, I was planning a surprise trip to go to Myrtle Beach. And I didn't want to say it on the lives because I didn't know, sometimes my dad watches the lives and stuff on YouTube, but now the cat's out of the bag, so I could say it. He kind of ruined his own surprise today by trying to come up here the same week I was going down there, so I had to tell him, no, you can't come up that week. And he's like, why not? Fuck, you ruined it. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm going down there. I already have my ticket. So our Tuesday Night Healing for relationships, I'll actually be doing that live from Myrtle Beach. And I'll also be doing chapter 14 from Myrtle Beach as well. So something else to look forward to. Have a little bit of change of scenery. We'll be taking this show on the road a little bit, per se. So,
Impulsivity.
Yeah, that's that impulsiveness, yes. So, something else to look forward to. But thank you guys for joining in with us and watching along. And, I hope this helped. I hope that people that are struggling and stuff like that can see that, hear the different perspectives and stuff like that, and then push you onto getting the help that you need. Again, there's all the crisis lines and stuff like that in the front of each one of my books. I have them as well. Just in case there's trigger warnings for you or anything like that. That's just a resource to have handy. Even if you don't read the book, at least you have the numbers. I mean, your phone has it as well, but, it's all the same. So, thank you all again for joining us, and I will see you guys on Thursday for Chapter 11. Have a good night.